Hey everybody. You know something? There's a lot of types of films out there, a lot of sci-fi tropes I would love to have in real life for myself. I'm not talking about robots. I'm not talking about spaceships. I'm talking about time machines. Yes, I would love a time machine or something just time travel related I can use to travel back in time. Wouldn't that just be so fun? God, I want to do it. I always fantasize about doing it. These movies are always saying it's not safe to go back in the past. You could alter the course of history. And I'm just like, bro, I know what I'm doing. I want to go time travel. Granted, I probably would screw things up, but still, man, I watch a lot of time travel stuff, time travel episodes of shows, time travel content. Of course, there's a lot of time travel based movies out there. And I feel like it's weird that I haven't done a top 10 list on my favorite time travel movies before, but I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Yes, today I'm going to go ahead and share with you all my favorite movies that depict the idea of traveling back in time, whether it's going to the past or even movies where they go to the future. Granted, if I had a time machine, I'd like to go to the past. Look, I don't look forward to the future, but still, yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. So I definitely do want to acknowledge these films because man, I feel like time travel movies are just so much fun to watch. I watch them a lot. I mean, I'm all for more. I've lived for time travel movies. So many great ones out there. God. Anyway, let's. I really don't have much else to say. It's my personal favorite time travel based movies. It's gonna be ranked based off of how much I enjoy the way time travel is depicted. It's not based off of how awesomely exciting these movies are, but rather based off of the idea of how they time travel and what the setting is like. That's what I'm kind of focusing on here. There's a lot of great ones on this list, in my opinion. So let's get to it. All right, so here's an interesting one to start with. Donnie Darko is more so a psychological time traveling movie. You don't really get the time travel aspect through the idea of going in a time machine or anything like that. It's more of from the perspective of a psycho teenager. It's a story of this weird, creepy bunny rabbit who convinces a teen to do bad malicious stuff. I think it's kind of hard to describe how the time travel fits into the plot of the movie. It's sort of like it's like a visionary type of thing, you know. It's like I said, it's like psychological time traveling. You're pretty much experiencing life after death. You then become hypnotized for evil. You sort of flash back and flash forward to what you've done with your life and where you're going forward with. I don't know. I guess psychological time travel stuff is kind of pretty cool. It's hard to really describe that well with movies like this. I just remember it fondly because of how creepy it was. How Jake Gyllenhaal really does a good job at being a creepy character. We're mostly used to him being the nice guy, the wholesome guy, but in this movie he's just full on I'm going to kill you type attitude. I don't know. And the bunny's creepy too, of course. But yeah, it's a creepy movie, and if you're looking to see how they go back to the past, you kind of just need to watch this movie enough times to fully get it. Planet of the Apes is also an interesting one. Um, I would say that this could be a spoiler to how the time travel works and why it wouldn't make some less sense. But then again, everyone's already seen the spoilers to this movie, so why bother anyway? Planet of the Apes. The first one, which really is the only one of the entire saga that really focused on time traveling, other than the Tim Burton remake, but I don't know if I want to talk about that one. This one focuses on two human astronauts who go into go into space, go explore a new world, a world run by apes that they find. And these apes treat the humans the way that apes were treated themselves, just plain up abusing them, putting them in cages, nuding them, whatever, spraying them down with fire hoses. You know, it's practically just apes taking on humans type thing. It's a very It's a very cool and interesting film. I was amazed with how much fun there was to the concept. I was expecting something good, but I wasn't expecting something that I found to be this good. I mean, really have. I was really only watching it just so I can become interested in this franchise because it's something I have always wanted to watch. I was just expecting me to see this one movie as, all right, that one's over. Let's go on to the next one. But then I was actually thinking, wow, they're really doing something with this. It's cool. It's cool because this movie eventually, by eventually I mean it's the final scene, reveals that they've always been on planet Earth. The apes have taken over. They're still on Earth. They've never left, and the apes have just evaded us. Our future is now run by these humanoid apes. Should we be okay with it? Who knows? But we certainly do have a lot of excitement to go through with this movie with these talking apes. Yes, they talk too. That should be fun. And for a time travel type of film, you're kind of getting to the idea that this is the future. Out of all the futures we've seen movies depict, I think this is the one you would want. Luckily, it's a farther away future. It's not like one of those classic films that has the future in like the 2010s or something. Still, who knows? Maybe our world will be invaded by apes. Who knows? So, Deadpool 2. Why Deadpool 2 on this list? The time travel portion is pretty easy to ignore with everything else this movie does. Like the first one, Deadpool 2 is just straight up let's find as many ways to satirize these X-Men as we can, especially after Logan. I mean, that's a hard movie to want to make fun of, but Deadpool finds ways to, I guess, do it or so. But no, and they don't focus too much on that. What they do focus on is Deadpool, along with a new alliance of his X Men group, his own group, really. They pretty much have to stop this time traveling villain named Cable, who happens to be Josh Brolin again in another Marvel movie from 2018. He seems to love that stuff. So him and his new alliance try to stop this guy traveling through time or whatever. They have to travel through time, sort of. It's one of those superhero action films where the time traveling doesn't really do much of a we better be careful or we could screw something up type of thing. It's not one where it plays a giant part in the story. You're not supposed to feel bad or anything about what happened. All that really matters is it's like they are just going on this crazy adventure, which of course involves time traveling. I think where the time traveling portion really takes off greatly, and it's probably one of the only reasons I put it on the list, is the ending. When Deadpool actually uses the time machine to for all sorts of stuff. It is later in the ending, but still, there's a lot to it. In the movie ends with Deadpool using the time machine to bring back someone who died. Um, yeah, so he just learned. Then after the first bit of the credits, he realizes that this is something that he can always do more of. So he just goes to random parts in time to break with them. He goes back to save his life from being ruined in X Men Origins. He goes back to stop his own self from making the Green Lantern movies. Yeah, it's all those little bits from after the credits. I mean, it's funny though. It's hilarious. And honestly, I think that's probably one of the main reasons I put on the list. I think this movie does a it's just a laugh out loud superhero comedy like the first one is. It's just a good old trilogy Deadpool has. The Don't Take Everything Seriously trilogy, even though it's a superhero movie. And here we have another superhero movie. Now, Avengers Endgame has been craved to death. Every Marvel fan is in love with it, every superhero fan loves it. And me personally, with how much I've been praising this movie, you'd think it's weird that I put it all the way this up at number 7. I mean, with such an awesome movie, why is it up here? How many movies, especially time travel based movies, would be better than this? Well, first of all, as awesome and amazing as Endgame is, I'm not really a die-hard, oh my god, I can't stop gushing about it word anymore. It's been a while. I still adore it, and I still love to talk about it, but I don't really think gushing about it's that big of a deal anymore for me. But also, bear in mind, I'm ranking these based off of what the time traveling is like. So, yeah, let's look at what this movie is like for what they do when they travel back in time. And that's, of course, a major factor in the mid half of the plot. It's a very long 3-hour movie, so there's a lot of plot elements. Anyway, in the middle of the plot, they find the power of a time machine from Ant Man's van, or no, they learn that he shows off some time traveling that they can use to go back in time and get Infinity Stones to um, make their own gauntlet to bring everyone back. It honestly it raised me questions at first because it's one of those movie you're time traveling, so there's lots of things you could do. You could just kill Thanos at a random point or whatever. But this movie actually does try to create a new aspect for the Marvel Universe by saying that they can go back in time without worrying about making any alterations. Since since the past has already been made, they'll just go back and to the past and nothing really will change with their world. You could argue it's sort of foreshadowing the multiverse crap that these movies are giving us now. But either way, for the time, it is a fun way to kind of let the time travel portion not become too much of a deal with the plot. Because like if they do have that thing where they could screw up time if they mess something up, then that's just gonna become a whole new plot element. So yeah, thankfully they don't do that. But just go back to different parts of each late older MCU film. Like they go back to the first Avengers movie, they go back to For the Dark World, Guardians of the Galaxy, the classics. Which we have to call classics now, apparently, I guess. I don't want to, but anyway. So yeah, they go back to those, they find the stones, they try not to interact with their younger selves, but they do. And we have Captain America fighting Captain America. We have Thor talking to his mother, who is just like, "Oh my God, you're fat as hell." you got you got them beat. You got Star Lord just getting knocked out. All that fun stuff occurs. Again, it's not all the way this up because the time traveling in this movie is a lot of fun, as is the entire movie, but it doesn't take up the story as much. It doesn't really alter, like there's no time alteration or much, so it's not as big of a factor to the story as some of these other ones on the list. So keep in mind, not every film that's over Endgame is better than Endgame, but in terms of how I enjoyed their time travel ideal, that kind of does work better for that case. Like for example, Hot Tub Time Machine is a silly um comedy. You wouldn't think that I think this is better than Endgame, but no, I don't. But for talking about a time travel movie, I was pretty impressed with what this is. This film tells the story of four friends who go to their um old childhood town, which turned out to be a big dump now. They stay at a hotel, they find the hot tub, they go in it, but they screw up the circuits and it then just completely turns into a time machine where they travel back to the 80s and they all pretty much are now in the 80s, with one of them being too young to have even been born yet, so that creates a time problem. The movie does go for a comedic route with the concept, but honestly, I still think it's done really well. I was impressed with how well done this movie was, in my opinion, because it does a great job at playing into that time travel aspect, showing how all four of them, or three of them, have something that they dealt with in the 80s, that specific time period, and they pretty much have to suffer the fact that they have to go through that again. And then there's the idea of what could they alter to alter the future or whatever. They satirize it, they play along to it, and I do think it's fun to watch in this movie. Like they kind of use those Back to the Future elements to sort of play in for satirical effect in this film, because these three are just all thinking about what they can do, have fun, and then there's the whole how the future will be rewritten or whatever. What the fourth friend who hasn't been born yet is going to suffer if he ends up not existing or something. It doesn't end up going too far to where it gets confusing. It stays at the right point, so you're able to follow it good, and you're also able to laugh because is a lot of funny moments in this movie. I feel like not a lot of people really talk about this movie enough. And when I feel like they should, it's really much better than a lot of people give it credit for. I think it's a really great movie. It's really funny. It's really nicely paced. It's definitely a good job at satirizing the time travel port aspects. So if you love time travel, then this really does seem like a great sit down movie to watch. Now, here's another movie that not a lot of people really talk about anymore, or at least those who haven't seen it yet. I guess I don't know. It's a film that really I feel like doesn't really get enough credit when it feel like it kind of should. Idiocracy is another hilariously silly time travel film. This one tells a story about a loser who gets put in a little freezing box or whatever, and he's just forgotten about. So they leave him there, and he ends up being stuck in that box for so many years, like over 100 years, and he wakes finally makes it out and sees that he's caught in the long distant future, a future where everyone is an idiot. Now, every people who have seen this movie do like to acknowledge that it's definitely a commentary on something. A movie where he goes to there's a future of everyone who's just a plain idiot. You gotta admit, it definitely is ahead of its time, the movie is. But ignoring that, the film itself is full of hilarious moments. Just the kind of stuff these guys are into. Like, they love watching shows about people getting nut shot. They love stores, which are all just the same. They love all the same stuff. All the entire water supply is just straight up been replaced with one soda brand. I mean, I feel like that wouldn't be surprising to see actually happen. So I don't want to jinx it, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of what the plot of this movie is. He tries to fix the future because it's so idiotic. Then he tries to figure out how to go back to the past. He tells everyone that they should stop. They should start using water, and they're like, no. So yeah, it's just a world of idiots. You'd think a movie about like that would get dumb and unfunny, but this movie stays consistently funny. Okay, because these characters are put in pretty well. Like, they're at just the right stupidity where you can enjoy the ridiculous humor there is with them, but you can also be able to accept some of them because some of them do play a part in helping the main character out. So it does make for still a really well put together story, in my opinion. And yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, of course. But in terms of time traveling, having the time travel to a future where you know that the world has just been corrupted and everyone has just become a straight up idiot, definitely should scare you, because you're hoping for better in the future, but then you get in the time machine, you see that the future has just been corrupted by idiots, and it's just a world of idiocracy, as the title implies. It's even more scary when the people watching the movie see this and are like, huh, why does this look familiar? So yeah, everyone who has seen this movie and does remember it, do mostly just focus on the fact that there is some familiarity with all this. Now, I've talked about the comedic brilliance of this movie before. I definitely don't mind talking about it again. It's another one of those let's find as many ways to satirize the time travel trope as we can. And by doing so, we create this hilarious adventure. An excellent adventure, you must say. Yeah, you saw it coming. It follows Bill and Ted, two wacky, dumb teens who are given the power to go in a telephone booth time machine to go back to different periods of time and learn about history so they can pass their exam. Because apparently, um, there are future rulers who apparently see that them passing the exam is a very important part to their life. They don't really explain too much on why that is, but it just is, and we are having to accept it. But who cares? That means a fun adventure can occur. So yeah, they go back to historic periods where they see historical figures and end up bringing some of them back to their present time. So now the historical figures are messing up their period. And it's another one of those going back to the past won't really screw any future elements up. You can do what you want back in the past, you know. You won't really affect the future if you bring back Socrates or whatever. So yeah, they bring them to the present and they cause a ruckus, but then he gets control of all of them or whatever and use them for their exam. All well is good. Hilarious film, lots of silly antics. These two characters are hilarious, are fun. They're actually really funny, believe it or not. They're likable too, I have to say. And again, playing the whole time travel trope for satire is always good to see. All right, enough of the satire. Let's get into another serious psychological time travel film. The Butterfly Effect is a movie that, on paper, sounds not really very well put together. When you think of the movie's plot in your head, you wouldn't think it really seems like it could be anything that great. The story is a guy who has suffered a lot of blackouts as a child, where it's been experience of horrific events in his life, things that traumatized him or, scarred him, turned him into a not entirely well put together person. He remembers to look back at these events in his present time as he has written all of them down in a journal. And when he goes to look at them again, he apparently is able to travel back to those moments from the magic of the journal. And from there, he's actually able to alter himself. He's able to make changes to that, and then then immediately then transitions back to see how that affected his future. So yeah, the time travel comes from the journal. Apparently, he has some magical journal that can let him travel back to moments of his life where he blacked out as a child, and he's able to change something during that traumatic moment that will pretty much cause a chain reaction, or should he say, a butterfly effect. Again, it doesn't sound like much, but when I actually watched the film, I was amazed. I loved it. I was amazed with how really emotional it was, how tragic everything happened. The the drama was amazing. I mean the whole blackout and then time travel through a journal didn't seem like it was gonna work. It just sounded stupid, but it made it feel pretty serious, and it really did a great job at depicting sort of the idea of what you can change and how much you should think before you want to change something. There's just some great commentary and really well put together pacing with all this. I love how much he cares about his friend and his girlfriend because he has to think about how these events affect them, what he does to affect their lives too. It's like it's just such a really well put together movie, and there's just such a great charm to this character. He comes off as actually being sympathetic and tragic, and the time travel portion plays a huge part to it. It's not the cleverest type of time machine to have. I mean, imagine you read stuff in your journal that happened and then you just immediately see back to that time. Like imagine you wrote something very embarrassing as a child and you look back at it and then you go back to the moment where you read it. You're just like, "Oh god, not the embarrassment again." Probably a weird way to look at it, but my point is, even that regard, this movie still makes it work really well to where you actually get emotional and actually feel bad for the characters and are actually really invested in how the story moves forward. If it's able to do that, making the journal a time machine works great. Ah, yes, the Terminator. These movies are fun. I had a hard time picking whether I should put Terminator or Terminator 2 in this spot, because most people would say that Terminator 2 is one of the best sequels of all time and surpasses the first one by a lot. I'm going to be honest. One, I personally think the second one's just as amazing as the first one. I honestly don't see it as much of a huge improvement as other people do. I adore the first one, so obviously I adore this one too. They're both amazing movies. I just don't think entirely of how I think one is great and the other is a masterpiece. I think one is amazing and the other one's amazing. That's kind of how I feel about the first two movies. But anyway, when it came to the idea of time traveling, there was something I had to think about. Both movies follow a similar kind of idea. A scary robot from the future has to go travel back to the past to assassinate a certain figure that he is targeted to kill. It's like a time traveling assassin. In the first one, it was about the Terminator going back in time to kill Sarah Connor, and it was more or less a fish out of water type of thing. Like, it was more or less the Terminator going to the past and being like, I am here from the near future to see this 80s world. And it was great and everything, but when it came to this spot, I think the second one works better
because this one doesn't do much of that. They go it's because now we have two assassins going back to the past, except one is an assassin assigned to kill Sarah Connor's son, and the other is assigned to protect the son. So yeah, it's two time travelers from the future. But this time it's not much of a fish out of water thing anymore. It's not them seeing this past and being like, wow, how cheap. No, this time they're actually accepting everything. And we get to see the cool twist of how the Terminator from the first one is now the protector. He's now the one to protect Sarah Connor's son, John. And then there's a new assassin who is out for him. So we kind of follow this have to escape him sort of thing. And this is a much more dangerous threat because he can literally go through walls. He is pretty much indestructible. It's terrifying. The whole movie goes for a more terrifying and uplifting adventure more than the first one did. And with how much of a time traveling the movie has, I think this one kind of plays its part in that aspect a little better than the first one, because the idea of time traveling is a little more important this time. We kind of do see a little more of the future here than we did in the first one, I feel like. So in that regard, yeah. Terminator 2 works better in a lot of ways, and time traveling is one of them. I mean, why am I even still talking? I mean, is it I'm acting like I should explain why I put this at number one. It's like, yeah, man, I've already talked to Dev about this movie. I can't really say anything else. I guess what I can say is how I love that a lot of time traveling movies I focus on this list were ones that focused on traveling back to the past and having to focus on what you could do to alter the present. And then there's others that focus on traveling to the past without having to worry about doing anything to alter the present because you're able to just chill out or relax because the past has already been created. You don't really have to worry about that. This movie tackles both. It's great because when traveling to the past, it doesn't do that whole, bro, don't move that rock. You can change the course of history. But it also doesn't do the, hey, you see that very important historical figure? Let's go mess with him and tell him some things that'll mess with his brain. It's not, it's just a simple idea. It shows that, you can travel, it shows traveling back in time without there being heavy consequences nor no consequences. It's just a simple adventure with some, um, a good amount of drama and, um, plot elements, I guess, to say, to help keep the movie running. It doesn't overstate its welcome, it doesn't get exhausting. It stays at just the right pace and consistent and fun and funny and likable and comforting to watch. So, yeah, you get that? Did I say enough? I said enough. I've already talked about this movie to death before, like very recently, too. So, what more can I say? This one's great. All three of them work great on this spot. We're talking about the overall time travel movies. We all just go straight to this one. It is the definitive time travel film. No other film can top it when it comes to traveling back in time, or in the future, even, because that's what the second one was like. It's the ultimate time travel movie. If I ever think about what it would be like to travel back in time, I just look back at how it is in this movie. I focus on what this movie's like. I like to focus on what I should worry about change altering or what I should and what I can be okay with accepting, doing, not worrying about the consequences it would have. I just think of what this movie was like. I think of what I can change and what I can't change based on how this movie plays out because it is pretty well put together. It has a nice realistic output. I mean, if time traveling does eventually become a real thing, then people will probably look back at this movie and be like, "Ooh, you're so inaccurate." But then again, we look back at the second movie like that because it depicted 2015, and when we actually got to 2015, yeah, but still, if time traveling does become a thing, which I kind of hope it doesn't, I hope it's just something that I can experience and no one else, because I can be trustworthy, no one else can. Okay, I don't mean it like that. Honestly, maybe time travel shouldn't become a thing. Maybe it's for the best we don't have it because everything could be screwed up. Yeah, maybe it is for the best that it doesn't become a public thing. So, yeah, let's just enjoy it in the movies because in the movies it's always fun and exciting. This movie especially.